All right, guys, we're taking a look at the playoffs as they stand now using the bracket simulator from Prediction Machines. And let's take a look. We got some interesting stuff here, highlighted by the big GS right in the middle of that thing, but I'm skipping ahead a little bit.
Well, let's start there in the West, because what they've done here is they've taken the standings as they are now, and then assigned a percentage to each team advancing. So you see that 51% of Golden State after they play the Mavericks as it's simulated out in the Western Conference Finals. They got a 51% chance of getting to the finals. That's amazing. And of course, if you're the Western team and you have a 51% chance of getting to the finals, that means you basically have a 50.8% chance of winning the NBA title. I don't think anybody expects the Raptors, as it is there, to beat the Warriors. But looking through it, you see just how interesting things would be, because even that first round series, Golden State and Phoenix, I love watching Dragic play. I really do. I do not still understand why Jeff Hornacek doesn't have the offense go through him more consistently. A lot of times that guy is bringing the ball up the floor, handing it off to Bledsoe or whoever else is in the game, and circling around to the corner, and then he stands there, and then they run their play. And I just think that guy should initiate the offense more frequently. But Phoenix is the 8th seed. Put it back up if we could. But Golden State likely to win that. Lakers and Houston, obviously, it's incredibly interesting, compelling first-round series. Portland and the Spurs, also an incredibly compelling, I think, first-round series. And then Memphis and Dallas. You can't. Everything in the West is interesting all the way through.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Look, obviously, we talk all the time about the strength of the West versus the weakness of the East. Throw that up there one more time for me. I think in this particular, when you look at it with actually broken down like this, you really see the ridiculous difference between the conferences. I mean, every matchup in the first round, look, of course, Golden State, Phoenix. I watched Phoenix this week against the Clippers. They lost on the buzzer beater by Blake Griffin, but Phoenix is a really good team.
How great a buzzer beater was that?
No, that was a great shot.
It was a line drive.
Yeah.
And you knew as soon as it bounced up, you were like, oh, I think it's going to go in. Oh, my goodness, I think it's going to go in.
Yeah, but looking at the right side of that, you're seeing a lot of goodness, and it just really pushes on how the East, I mean, those matchups in the Milwaukee, Atlanta, I get it. Atlanta's playing well right now.
Milwaukee and the Wiz. So that's compelling.
Oh, I'm sorry.
America's going to watch Milwaukee and the Wiz.
Yeah.
And then Atlanta and Miami, I'd guess right now I'd take Miami in that series. But yeah, I mean, the Eastern Conference semifinal between the Wizards and the Hawks and the... but that said, I'd love it because you'd have we got the Wizards there as one of the 4 teams. Right now, unless Cleveland or the Bulls are the representative of the East, it doesn't seem like it'd be a competitive final, but we're 60 games away from there. And like I don't know how, I'll keep my fingers crossed. Washington is playing with fire. They're winning a lot of close games, but I don't know if they're better and they win 57, 58 games. It's a young team. John Wall appears to me at this point to have clearly elevated his game last year. I think he has elevated again this year. He is faster than everybody. He is taking charge at the end of the games when they need a bucket. He is handling the ball. He is going to the hoop. He's finishing and getting fouled or getting somebody a wide open look. So, but that said, the finals that everybody wants is any one of these good teams from the West against the Bulls or the Cavaliers. Really, they want the Cavaliers.
They want the Cavs. One final point on this, when we were looking at the standings. So Dallas at the 7 seed in the West, 17-7. They're 10 games over 500 already. Where would that put them in the East right now?
Can we see
17-7? I believe would put you first in the East.
I mean, think about that. So they're 7th in the West. I mean, these guys may not even make the playoffs. That is legitimately possible. And right now they'd be number 1 in the East. That's what you're telling me?
What's the 7th seed in the East?
16-6 is the Toronto Raptors. They are the 1 seed in the East. So a 17-7 Dallas Mavericks would be the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, they'd be tied technically.
And so the Heat at 10-12 are the 7th seed in the East.
That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy. But we all know that the Bulls, they're at 13-8, and the Cavaliers at 13-8. They were 5-7. Those teams are going to be better at the end of the year.
I'm still holding out for these Sixers. I have a feeling something might. Those 2 wins, if you multiply that by 20, what do you have? 40 wins. That puts you at the end of the season at the number 1 seed in the East.
It's going to get home court advantage.
It's still crazy to think that the Knicks have 4 wins and they are technically 4 wins back from the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference.
Hey, look, basketball doesn't have a monopoly on this. The Carolina Panthers are 4-8-1 and a half game out of first place.
This is true. Move over to NBA 2K.
NBA 2K, they do things a little differently. They simulate the rest of the season, so the standings are a little different because they simulate out the rest of the season. But here's how NBA 2K looks at the playoffs. They get the okay. Well, I mean, you can't pay any attention to that because they have the Thunder as the #1 seed. And that's not going to happen.
Right.
So the NBA 2K has the Thunder winning the rest of their games.
Pretty much every game.
Getting the #1 seed.
It starts from the beginning of the season and simulates all the way through.
So NBA 2K starts from the beginning of the season, which means they got Durant and Westbrook playing the whole year.
Yes.
Right.
But anyway, if that said, it doesn't really matter if Durant and Westbrook are healthy at the end of the year, and Ibaka, and that team gets into the playoffs. Go back to the playoffs one more time, the brackets real quick. If those guys are healthy and they get in, because the West is so stacked, we're really just talking about home court advantage. If they're the 1st seed or the 7th seed, obviously they're not going to be the 1st seed. I'm not sure it makes that much difference. They're a dangerous team. Nobody's going to
Well, the one thing that would make a difference is if, assuming the Spurs are 1, then you don't want to go 8 because that's not the matchup you want in the first round. But you get to 7, you get Golden State. These are shooters. You never know what happens.
You're almost better off if your goal was to avoid the Spurs. What you want to do is just get out. You don't want to be 4, 5, or 8. Anything else, because you want to give every other team an opportunity to knock them off first before you have to play them. So anyway, the finals there. That seems like something that everybody would enjoy. Bulls, Spurs.
That includes a healthy Derrick Rose.
That obviously includes a healthy Derrick Rose, and it has the Spurs winning at 4-3. You got the Bulls as the #1 seed, which only
is that the finals that you would predict right now? Because you're pretty high on the Bulls.
No, my final is the Cavaliers, and I have no idea who comes out of the West. No clue. I mean, I would love it for the Warriors, but as you said, a team of shooters being asked to sustain that level of shooting in playoff games, in what we're talking about, 25 playoff games against really good competition. My hunch is that the Warriors, as constituted now, can be beaten. But I hope they're not. I'll be rooting for them.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
They're fun.